Is George on, or is he still ringing? He's still ringing.
Bring.
Ring.
Brat.
Wah, wah, wah.
Wow, it took all of 10 seconds to get to the air horn.
I mean, that's what you need at 10 a.m. in the morning.
Whoa, the new Tyson UI's in.
Wait, the new Tyson UI for which? The
For
stream?
Ghostly Bear Games in the top left of the stream. So hot.
Yeah. And the alert box is down below. Although
Alert
someone
box.
needs to go through and clean up my stream schedule because I hacked that together and it is
Whoa.
mostly what I wanted, but then not really entirely what I wanted, so I need to put in the about us and stuff. So
We haven't asked us anything right now.
oh shit, yeah, I need to change that.
Well, is there anyone to ask us anything?
Technically there was one person in the room, which I assume is Santora, since it matches his Twitter name.
Oh yeah.
Nightbot?
Hi Santora. No. Nightbot is a like pretty standard moderation bot that I added. So
Chupa Macabre. Oh, that's a hard thing to pronounce.
What?
we also have a bunch more followers because I've been slowly hitting up people. Which is, well, it's this weird thing of like I want to hit up people, but I don't want to hit up too many people before we hit 50. So it's weird.
We're famous.
Not famous. Cool. Let's get started now that George is here.
Sorry about that. I
How
don't know why my
dare
Discord
you.
didn't ring.
No problem.
Today is, what is today's date? It is the
22nd.
22nd.
Who wants to go first?
I will. So Friday, I spent the morning going through and creating the backgrounds for all of the different landing pages on the website for Ish. Got those in. Then spent a good chunk of time researching Discord bots, and next step there for preparation for a conversation with Will today, where we're going to talk through setting up the public Discord and what process we're going to go through for being able to sort of empower playtesters through the Discord flow. After that, got into a marketing conversation with Brandon, and we talked through a lot of the different kind of flows that we want users to go through, so that we could start to think about what areas we need to work on text first. And he's already jumped on doing some of that work, which is awesome. Today, I'm going to double back around on the privacy policy work. I launched into it briefly on Friday and then got distracted. But today, I'd really like to try and double down and at least get a skeleton of that in place to share with Carl and the team, so we can get some traction on that this week. I really want to get that off to the lawyer before the week's out. So something that usually would take me a lot more time, and I think because it's a compressed period of time, I keep putting it off, and I don't know why that's logical, but it is. So that's going to be my main focus today, other than meetings with Guy, meetings with Will on Discord stuff, and potentially meeting on the concept art stuff. So that's my day. I choose Ann.
Yesterday, last Friday, and really, if you looked most of the weekend, I was prepping this stuff before I'm out. Worked on hooking up some more parts to abilities, a lot more so to our old fake ship UI. So if you're in the game now, you can click ship and it'll bring up the UI again. But it will have a list of the installations on that ship and then abilities that can be used, and what, if they're tied to an installation, those abilities show up next to that installation. And then, so there's a lot of pieces just around that about selecting abilities, deselecting abilities, targeting, not like what you can target, what abilities can target, and that can be defined by JSON. Today I've had talked with some Carl about different things, and basically he will. I think if you guys, the other designers, are doing design times throughout the week, include Carl in those in the next 2 weeks, just as the he honestly has the bigger picture on like timings and priorities, and he can be there at the moment.
And just to
then,
clarify, today's your last day, right?
Today is my last day, and then
Okay.
I'm still in town tomorrow, but it's getting rental car, it's
Yeah.
packing, it's getting ready to go. Like, I'm not gonna be really available.
Okay.
And then starting Wednesday morning to the following Tuesday is pretty much just zero internet connectivity.
Yeah.
So out.
Is there any brain dumps, George and Will, you guys think you need on the work that Ant's done recently before he heads out?
Ant just did one with me.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah,
I did
and
it with
got
him
it on Friday.
on abilities. Make anything that I was doing with ability, I walked through with Will this morning,
Nice work.
so that he
Thanks,
can
Ant.
jump to that. So yeah, today I have that. I have more. I have I think a one-on-one with Brandon, which I'll have with you. We have a marketing thing in the afternoon. In general, it's just going to be getting everything in place so that when I'm gone, I'm just gone, and I will see amazing changes when I get back in 2 weeks. So that's my day. Brandon, go.
So Friday, spent a lot of time doing generally marketing stuff. So shared a rough draft. Well, actually, I guess it's actually fine. The FAQ for our website with Hans. Started editing the game design that we recorded, and then quickly realized some of the issues with the idea that we had around just kind of taking those meetings and turning them into podcast material. And I had a pretty good discussion with Carl around aligning on that and like a kind of shifting of what our expectations were there and having a plan to tackle them. So we'll talk about that in the marketing meeting later today. In addition to that, continued to do some event writing, but really just used that as a break, and then had a few more sketches out for the events page and the press material stuff for the website, which I hope to get done today. So in addition to trying to finish those two off, we'll have the marketing check-in where we'll talk about our public development schedule and kind of workload and what we'll be doing there. And then once we lock that in and hopefully align with that as a team, then I'll start creating the rest of the materials and kind of outline the schedule for that so we can post it publicly, or create the posts that will go publicly for that. In addition, I need to write a really rough script for what our Patreon intro video will be, and then hopefully record that with Carl tomorrow, assuming schedules line up and all that. So yeah, that's it for me.
Sorry, you broke up. What'd you say?
Oh,
He called your name.
Oh, sorry.
That was. We're like, is he muting all of us or something?
I was really nervous. You said my name. So I wasn't here Friday, but Thursday I worked mostly on events, various event things. I think all of the event systems for before and after jump triggers and random triggers should be functional, and they seemed like they were working to me. So I'd love to have more events to break all that stuff with. So that's exciting. Today I want to work on Discord stuff with Hans. That's kind of my primary goal, is at least having a plan and maybe having implemented a bunch of stuff there. And then I've got the marketing check-in and the handoff of abilities from Ant, which I think we've already done. And I want to do a check-in with Brandon today about some of the Discord stuff too. Yep, that's me. I think George hasn't gone. George.
Okay. Friday, I got a rundown from Anthony about abilities, and we got the scan. Wait, was the scan ability already working? We got it hooked up to the UI. So you can now scan planets, and then they, however much time it takes, happens. Today, I'm gonna modify the scan ability and finish making the exploit ability so that you can see the meter rising on the planet, like the percentage that it's done. I'm just going to make a really, really, really simple exploit formula for right now, which is the amount of time out of the total time is the amount of resources out of the total resources. It's all relative. It's just an identical thing. I think down the road, we'll probably want to have some kind of weighted formula where the first bit of exploiting is more profitable than the last bits, but I don't think it's important right now. I think more important is by the end of this week, which is the sprint, we should have the ability to basically complete the entire game loop of getting installations, exploiting planets, scanning and exploiting planets, building more installations, finding fuel, jumping, all of that stuff. It's not going to be balanced, but it'll be a complete front-to-end game. I hope, at least. That's the goal. And so today, like I said, I'm going to be working on the ability scanning and exploiting. And once we have that finished, I will move on to probably something for being able to make fuel, because I think that we have to have that kind of ability if we're going to be able to keep jumping. And I pick Carl.
Last week, I was down in San Diego for most of it. I did finally end up going to Comic-Con on Saturday afternoon, but most of the rest of the time was wandering around San Diego and having dim sum and tacos and going to the beach. I am proud, to report that I am sunburned on the back of one knee, but not both knees somehow.
You did it.
That's super exciting. While I was down there, I talked a bunch to some of the folks that I know from sort of the tabletop side, Tim and his crew, and got just their perspective on various pieces of the game and our marketing plan and stuff. A few of them followed me and pinged me, or wanted me to ping them when we had a playtest group set up, as well as when we had a more regular streaming schedule stuff, so that they can potentially help us gain some followers. I talked to some of my other friends and Francisco, who did interning stuff for us for a little bit last year. Got a bunch of his friends to follow us, so that was awesome. And so we're now at 22 or 23 followers. Welcome all new followers if anyone's watching. And then I synced up a bunch with Brandon on marketing stuff and all that. And then I think that was most of it. Today I've started hacking up some of the stuff from Tyson and putting it into Twitch just to see how it works, and realizing how behind the curve my Photoshop skills have gotten, because I've been using PaintNet and XD this entire time. So probably try and figure out some more of that today, meet up with the marketing stuff, sync with Brandon on the Patreon stuff, probably sync with Hans on any number of things. And around in general if folks need me. I'll probably be doing some working on stream today after this. Like, I'll probably cut the stream to generate the video for just DSU and then restart the stream while I work on some stuff. So if anyone wants to hang around and chat while we do work, that's cool, and I'll figure out how to make that. Some of the work today may just be setting up Twitch overlays. So that's my day, I think. I think that's all.
Let me know if you need any help with the Photoshop stuff. Glad to chip in if you need.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just like random.
Getting the rust off.
And it's like I have a decent amount of confidence of getting anything that's made out, but like probably syncing with you on some ways to better make stuff would be good, because like a lot of it is like we have Twitter and Instagram, but we're gonna need to make a Patreon one, we're gonna need to make a whatever one, and like
Yeah, I need to take those same assets and make one for the itch account probably
yeah.
sooner or later. I mean, yeah, we massage them into a lot of different stuff. So
Yeah, and then also figuring out like, do we want to do the about us as plain text, or do we want to do an image with the text on? I don't know. So we can figure it all out. We can probably chat about it after this. And it's also not like the highest priority in the world, but it's like right in front of me, so I'm like, must work on it. So
yeah, just give me a shout.
yeah, cool. We have anything to show off or go over?
Sorry, is that audible?
I don't think I have any show off stuff. I think we did most of that stuff last week. We're pretty much running towards the end of this week now. So,
did you end up talking to Guy at all at the end of last week?
I have a meeting with him at 1:00 actually. So,
cool.
Yeah.
What about?
Talking with him about sort of our current state with Altered Tactics, since he was working with us on that.
This guy Whitmore?
Yeah, Guy Whitmore. And then talking with him about also what kinds of things, because he does a lot of different kinds of licensing models with different companies, and some are exclusives and some are non-exclusives. And I wanted to talk with him if he has any non-exclusive content from a sci-fi perspective that we could utilize, as well as what kind of deal we could make if we wanted to do some specific sounds, things of that sort, what it would look like price-wise if they were non-exclusive. And then maybe we could have an option of going exclusive later. I don't know. So just kind of talking about what our pricing options would be to work with him on doing audio work.
Yep. One thing I think we should do, although we probably want to wait for George to get back, is just go over the current state of the board. Although I guess we can start with stuff that doesn't involve George. One thing I can say is I moved the Mega Grant back to a later release, just because there's some content there that I think we're going to be generating to get stuff off the ground that we're going to want to get done. It's a trivial task once we have that, but we're not going to make progress on it until we have more of the stuff done anyway. So
we'll just get bounced.
So we'll skip the 2 stories with George for now. So with the public development stuff, since Hans streamed on Friday, I checked your name off, Hans, because you hadn't yet. But Brandon, if you've tested Streamlabs or got it set up or whatever you do it, you need to check your name off.
I haven't downloaded. I haven't tested it though.
Yep. And then I'll go over the stuff with George here, and then probably talk bots with Hans, because I added Nightbot, and that may legitimately be the only thing we need there for now. And then Brandon, I think as part of the marketing stuff today, we'll figure out the recording and storage locations and stuff, and that may actually be even easier than before. And then I know you were working on a doc here, Hans, so whenever you feel like sharing it, let me know.
For which?
Streaming, minimizing attack surface area, etc.
Oh, yeah, I'm maybe a page into it, so yeah, I can share it in a bit, but
yeah,
it should be this week.
Yeah. And then we have this header from Tyson. I added it to the folder. I'm gonna put some work into some of the other overlays we have. And then for Patreon, we have the main text. I think I have the tiers mostly there. I want to go over with them with Brandon and see what he thinks. Integrations can come after we figure out the rest of it. I'm going to work with Brandon on the video and the rest of the stuff as we need it. So that's where that's at. Hans is talking to Guy today, so that's where that card's at. And you guys have been working on the website. It sounds like Brandon's working on this with you as well.
Yeah, he's generating some text for me. It's actually attached to a card sprint, but I probably should just add to this sprint because it was an emergent. So it should probably be drug into the sprint.
Cool.
I will move the ability card. As a player, I want my ships to each have a number of things to upgrade.
I saw
We
that.
we moved it out of Validate because we had no user-facing UI to do the testing. We have user-facing UI now.
And I was thinking, this is weird. Tell me if this is wrong, but I was thinking I was going to unvalidate it again because it doesn't take the resources yet.
Oh,
and
I
that
guess
we-
you're right. It doesn't have any. We don't have the other systems in place. We're kind of blocked on finishing
But
it.
also, what I was thinking is I kind of like the fact that we keep moving it into verification and out because it means that we have constant check-ins on the task, and maybe that's like a good process to go through where things go.
Actually,
in
yeah.
and
Actually,
out.
for you,
Yeah.
because that's where I can be like, okay, hey, let's talk about this again. Make
Yeah.
sure we're cool where we're at.
It gives me
yeah.
a visual trigger. Like I go in and I see it, and I'm like, shit, I have stuff to do.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
So I like that you did that.
Um,
But I am going to review it before I move it out.
if we had stuff to show, I can show you the junk that I did.
Sure.
I feel like you should if it hasn't already been shown to the rest of the team.
Yeah,
It's really
I'd like to
cool.
see it.
Turn on screen share. So there it is. I have time paused right now, but flagship, sure.
Oh my god.
I hooked up our crap UI again, in a bad way, but you can see it. It actually, like, as you click ships, they have different installations. They don't have names right now, and some of them are messed up with their type. Just as we've been
Admiral
adding
Quo.
things. Yes,
Terrible.
Admiral Quo.
Terrible. I hate all of you.
So you have abilities. I broke the tooltips. I'll fix that here in a check-in after stand up. But you would have tooltips that tell you what the name of these are. But it's expand, upgrade, installation, and then sensors give you the scan ability. So if you wanted to upgrade an installation, click it, and it's like, hey, which installation do you want to upgrade? And you'd be like, I want to upgrade my hydroponics. Cool. I'll have time pause. So time's now unpaused. We're upgrading hydroponics right now. You could cancel it if you wanted it to. Hey, look, it's done. Hydroponics went to level 2. My food production went up. If you wanted to scan a planet, you're here, you select ship, you select this, it moves you out, and then you
Nice.
can select a planet that you want to look at. It doesn't have the after effect right now, like it brings up Georgia's UI right here. This is something as we're working on, it puts it here. As we're working on the new UI, I would expect once you clicked an ability and a ship was doing an ability, you'd get a readout in the timeline over in this right-hand side of saying, this ship is doing this ability and it will be done in this amount of time. And some kind of icon. I really want what is happening, what your actions are, and what you're planning to show up in a timeline that you could just look without having to jump back to look at individual ships and everything. But now that should be scanned. So, yep, fully scanned. The scan ability isn't doing exactly. There wasn't enough in place to make it do exactly how it should be working. But my goal on the design of that ability would be you would hit scan. The progress bar would finish, a scan would complete, and you would get a chunk of data on the planet you scanned. Not 100%. Let's say basic sensors scanning gives you 20% knowledge of the planet or something. And so rescanning a planet gets you more. If you increase the size of your sensor banks on a ship, you would get higher quantity scanning. Let's say you doubled the size, so now instead of getting 20% per scan, you get 30% per scan. Or maybe you upgrade, and then upgrading the sensor installation lets you scan things your sensors couldn't. Like the quality of your scans is better. So you could scan. I don't, like right now we have, does this tell you? Yeah, it's like radiated. Maybe normal sensors can't scan radiated planets. Like they're just not strong enough. They get interference. So one of the things is upgrading your sensor installation lets you start scanning radiated planets. Things like that. Like there could. This just ties into a design thought that I had, and I've gone over. I think Brandon, we've had this in design that installations tend to have two axes of in power increase, which is either making the installation bigger or better.
Yep. It's option and econ, right? Is the way I think we talked about it.
Kind of. I mean, one should be quantity, one should be quality, basically. Yeah. But that may not hold true for all installations. Like it might not make sense that you don't make your jump drive bigger. It is as big as it is, but it has upgrade levels. And there could be other ones that are the opposite, where you make them bigger, but they don't actually. There's no upgrading them. But I showed Will today how you define all that stuff. Anyway, it's all in JSON. But yeah, that's what I hooked up, and it was messing with. Not sure why that. Oh, that's on cooldown now. That's right. Abilities go on cooldown after they've been used, and so if you see an ability like, "Oh, I used it, now I can't use it again," it's on cooldown. It will show back up eventually. Again, I didn't put a lot of work into.
Yeah, another good indicator
for a lot of those UI details, because I'm like, we're gonna strip all this UI out and replace it with much better, different stuff. So the UI put in was purely just to be like, basement that you can do this loop.
With all of the gameplay that we're trying to get in this sprint and next sprint, if we get ahead, we could work on UI clarity, but it might be worthwhile just having a sprint or even just a week that's focused on.
Yeah. I mean, Tyson handed off the UI, or at least some design for the UI, and I fear that will be starting to be ripped out and put in place. These buttons work, even though ships don't have names, but you can use that to select ships. So yeah, that's what I tried. Nice. I was very focused on getting that in before I leave, so that there's at least a baseline in place.
Yeah, it seems like a good place to be able to hand it off. Thanks, Sam.
No problem. And abilities define what view they're used from now. In JSON, you can say, I want this. This is an ability that works on the fleet view. This is an ability that works in the system view. And they will shift you to the correct view, as you saw whenever you choose that ability. To try to keep us very focused on that the ship interaction model that we were going with.
And thanks for putting in the extra to get it wrapped up before.
Yeah, no problem. Needs to happen. So yeah, that was my show and tell.
Awesome.
Hooray. Anyone have anything else before we wrap it up?
I think that's it.
Everyone say hi to all the people who are in chat, because according to Twitch, at least there are people in chat. If you guys
hi to people in chat.
Hi to people in chat. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. We can always, we'll always answer questions.
Oh, did you want us to click to use the chat? I should use the chat.
You can say hello in chat, yes.
Leave the chat.
When did I become an admiral? When some idiot put my picture in our game.
It's so good.
It's the perfect way to make sure it gets changed before we go live.
It is, because
it actually is,
yeah.
No. So again, my plan is to cut the stream to create the video that is just daily stand-up, but then probably keep streaming and doing some work and answering questions. People want to stick around. You're welcome to. I'm good.
Sounds great.
Cool. Say goodbye to the stream, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.